Hello and welcome to my channel. In today's video I'm going to be showing you how to make this really simple reversible octopus. I have also linked below the PDF pattern that is available on my website for this toy. Now let's get started. The materials that you will need for this plushie are 4 12mm safety eyes, a 5mm crochet hook, a stitch marker and a needle. You will also need 2 colours of chenille yarn. I am using a size 6 chenille yarn, so you can use whichever yarn you would like. Beginning in your first colour, we are going to start by making a magic ring. If you have never made a magic ring before, I have linked down below my beginners playlist. For round 1, you are going to begin by single crocheting 6 times into your magic ring. For the next round, you are going to be increasing into each stitch of your magic ring, which should leave you with 12 stitches in your round. So as I am demonstrating here, increasing into each of the 6 stitches. For the next round, you will be single crocheting into the next stitch and then increasing in the next. So single crochet and then increase in the next stitch, repeating this 6 times overall for 18 stitches in your round. For the next round, you'll be single crocheting in the next 2 stitches and then increasing into the next stitch. So single crochet once, twice, and then increase. And again, 1, 2, and increase, repeating this 6 times overall for 24 stitches in your round. For the next round, you'll be single crocheting into the next 3 stitches and then increasing into the next. So single crochet once, twice, and a third time, and then increase in the next stitch. And again once, twice, 3 times, and then increase, repeating this 6 times overall for 30 stitches in your round. For the next round, you'll be single crocheting into the next 4 stitches and then increasing into the next. So 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then increase in the next stitch. And again, 1, 2, 3, 4, and increase, repeating this 6 times for 36 stitches in your round. For the next round, you'll be single crocheting in the next 5 stitches and then increasing in the next. So single crochet once, twice, a third time, a fourth time, and a fifth time, and then increasing. And again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and increase, repeating this 6 times overall for 42 stitches in your round. For the next round, you'll be single crocheting in the next 6 stitches and then increasing in the next. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and then increasing. This round will be your last increasing round, so you will repeat this step 6 times overall for 48 stitches in your round. Now we will be doing a few rounds of single crocheting, so I would recommend inserting your stitch marker before this next step. Once you have inserted your stitch marker, we will now be single crocheting into each stitch for 6 rounds total. So I will show you my first round of single crocheting and then I will cut away so you don't get bored of me just single crocheting for 6 rounds. Once you have finished your 6 rounds, we will be doing one final round, but this time only working in the front loop of the next stitch. So I've put a little diagram up in case you don't know the difference between the back and the front loop. But all you'll be doing is for the next round, you'll just be working in the front loops of each stitch for one round, just single crocheting into these front loops. Once you are done, make sure that you leave a very, very long tail for sewing and you can cut off your yarn. You can tie off your yarn by pulling your hook through, however you'll probably just have to use your hands if you've left quite a long tail like I have. And you have now finished your first body of your octopus and you'll be repeating the exact same method in your second colour. Now we will be making the tentacles, so you'll begin by making another magic ring and single crocheting 6 times into your magic ring. For the next round, you'll be increasing into each stitch, which should give you 12 stitches overall in your round. For the next round, you'll be single crocheting into the next stitch and then increasing into the next stitch, repeating 6 times overall for 18 stitches in your round. Two stitches and then increasing in the next stitch, repeating this 6 times overall for 24 stitches in your round. For the final round, you'll be single crocheting into each stitch just for one round. Once you are done, make sure that you cut off a long tail for sewing. You should have made 8 in your first colour and then 8 in your second colour. Now we will be inserting the eyes, and I insert them roughly between around 12 and 13, but you can insert them as high or as low as you want, and I insert them roughly about 6 to 7 stitches apart. Repeat this exact same thing for your second colour. So now I'm just going to flip the second colour and just position it to show you sort of where exactly it should go. So to make sure that the eyes on either side don't touch, I do insert my second body within the first body, but facing the opposite way. So the eyes are on either side, if that made sense. As you can see, the eyes are poking out a little bit, but once I add stuffing, you aren't able to see them. Or if you would like, you can also add some felt in between these 2 layers. So now that I know where I'd like my body to go, I am adding a thin layer of stuffing. So I'm going to remove my second colour that's inside the first colour and just add a bit of stuffing just around the whole perimeter. Now I'm going to place my second colour back in, and don't worry about it not fitting too much because once it's all sewn up, it fits very well. Now we are going to sew everything together. So begin by taking one of your yarn tails on either colour of the bodies, it doesn't matter which one, and insert the yarn tail into the eye of your needle. Now what I'm doing here is I am just creating a little knot in my yarn because I find it makes this yarn a little bit easier to work with when sewing. So we are going to begin by inserting our needle into the front stitch of the top layer and pulling through. So now we are going to insert into the back stitch of the bottom layer and also in the front stitch of the top layer and pull through both of those stitches. And you're going to repeat that around the whole body. However, leave a little bit of room before you sew up because we're going to add a little bit more stuffing. So before you have completely finished sewing, we're just going to add a little bit more stuffing where we can. This just helps plump up the body and add a bit more structure. I definitely recommend adding a little bit more into the tip of the head. So once you're done sewing the body, you can do your first flip test that I'm doing here, just to make sure that it definitely flips from one colour to the next. Now we'll be sewing all of the fins together, and the fins are done in the exact same way as the body, but I will still demonstrate here. So insert the yarn towel into your needle. Squish both of the little fins together, and I like to make sure that both of the yarn tail ends are lining up. So insert your needle into the front stitch of the top layer and pull through, and then insert into the back stitch of the bottom layer and then the front stitch of the top layer and pull through, and do that the whole way round, making sure that you leave a little bit of a gap at the end so that you can add a little bit of stuffing as demonstrated here, and then you can finish up sewing. Now we will be sewing the tentacles to the body, and we will be sewing along the join lines because this will give the smoothest finish. So that once you flip from one colour to the next, you won't be able to see the other colour showing through. Insert the yarn tail of the tentacle into your hook and then just line it up, and then insert your needle along that join line and pull through, and then insert along the join line of the tentacle and then pull through. Repeat this about 5 to 6 times so that you secure the tentacle fully. What I like to do to make sure that the tentacle is definitely secure is I like to flip it over and also just sew along this line here. You'll be repeating the same method for all 8 tentacles, and I usually space out my tentacles a couple of stitches apart. However, you can always just double check your spacing before you sew them on. And once you are done sewing, you have now made an adorable reversible octopus. If you enjoyed this tutorial, then make sure to drop a like and subscribe for some more tutorials. I'd also love to see what you have made, so make sure to tag me on Instagram in your creations. Thank you so much for watching and happy crocheting!